Hi guys, welcome back to OG Cars, and today we are looking at the Mk1 Renault Twingo again, this time doing a little bit of repair work. First and foremost, I'm going to open these windows because it smells horrible in here. There is a nasty smell of gearbox oil, and that is because I recently picked up some Waterberg parts, and that included the gearbox, which was still full of oil. So there you go, that's why we had a little stain on the rear boot carpet. There's the offending stain. The only real way to fix this is going to be setting the whole carpet on fire, so we'll deal with that later. I did try and clean it up with this wild rhubarb spray foam freshener, which worked for a few days, and now it smells like, well, gearbox oil again, so that's terrible. If you've ever smelled it before, then yeah, it smells fantastic. Basically, we did an MOT on this car very recently, only a couple of weeks ago I believe, and I did a service afterwards. The near side rear was a bit slack on the brake test, but it did just about pass, so we did want to look at that. On the service I did take off the rear wheel, and there is a slight leak from the wheel cylinder. So what I'm going to do now is get the car on a jack stand on the near side rear here, and I've got a new wheel cylinder to fit, so that's what we're going to do, repair the Twingo today. I've just quickly moved the seats forward and pulled up this latch to pull the seats all the way up there, taking this trim off here and these two trim clips on the side here so I can get this carpet out as well. I'm just going to pull it out now and see if I can roughly wash it and just leave it to dry while I'm doing the work. I've sprayed on a load of fabric cleaner and I've hosed it off, and I'll keep hosing it throughout the day I think, because it's still a bit oily, and I'll leave it to dry for a bit longer. I want to hoover out the inside of this car anyway because it's been doing so many transport jobs for me. It's managed to take a Panda rear axle and Panda door around for me, as well as all those Waterberg parts. It's done a couple of trips there as well, so it's been a good load lugger, this car, Mr. P. So yeah, it deserves to get this new wheel cylinder. Obviously we'll be able to check it out properly when we've got the wheel and the drum off. I've just loosened off the wheels now. They're 4 19mm bolts. Just loosened them off now. I'm going to jack it up and put a axle stand underneath. But yeah, there's our new wheel cylinder. I've not heard of Met before, but apparently they have quality parts. This was new old stock, and it was in stock on eBay. It was the only for the near side as well. The offside one's different and they weren't in stock, so that's a bonus that we managed to get that so quickly anyway. So I've just jacked it up, popped the axle stand under the rear axle there, and now I'm just undoing these 4 bolts so we can get the wheel off. Now the drums on these, they've got essentially a centre bearing part of the drum, so this here you have to take the cover off and undo the stub axle nut to take off the drum. So next up we're going to get a small chisel and a hammer, get that cap off, and then we'll undo the nut under there, and we'll be able to just take the whole drum off in one. It's been off a few times recently now anyway, so it should come off nice and easily. You may also see this lovely part in that video. Actually, it's all been welded. You can actually see the sill has been welded pretty much all the way along. That's what it needed for its MOT before the one that I've just done on it. But what I would like to do is just tidy all this up and underseal it properly. I do need to look at the rust on the scuttle as well, as it's not holed yet, but I'd like to get something on it to protect it. That'd be ideal. So now we've got the wheel off, we'll get that cap off. Well, I don't have my my normal chisels to hand, so a Halford screwdriver will do the trick, and I've just got a standard claw hammer. I'm just going to tap the cap out of its little ledge, bit of to and fro, and she'll come right out like that. Now to get the drum off, we must undo this 30mm nut here, which I have already just slightly cracked off. It's better with a deeper socket, but I only have a shallow one, so I'm going to get on a bit of time, but I'm just going to whip that off now and then pull the drum off. I've just given this and the drum itself a quick go over with some brake and clutch cleaner just to get any dirt off. But here is the offending wheel cylinder, so you can actually see there's a split in the end there, and it's leaking slowly through the seal. You can just about see, well, you can see it's wet in there anyway, and obviously that's detached itself there where the split is, so that's where it's been leaking from. I imagine it probably has been leaking this side as well actually. The The offside one's fine. I think it's been changed recently because it looks shinier. This one doesn't, so yeah, I would say that one definitely needs doing. So good thing we've got hopefully the correct one in this bag. So here on the back you can see it's had a new brake line at some point. We're just gonna hopefully get on the brake union there just to free it up. Hopefully I did spray a bit on the other day when I did the service, so hopefully that brake union will come out and then we can fit the new wheel cylinder easily. Otherwise we might be making another bit of pipe. Admittedly a bit hard to see in here, but I have just loosened off the two 10mm and I have managed to get this precarious looking nut to start undoing as well. Initially it was still attached to the copper pipe, so I had to work it back and throw a little bit, and I've put a bit more WD-40 on, but things seem to be going okay so far. There we go, we're getting it turning on its own now, which is ideal. We don't want to weaken the copper. If we do, we'll have to make a new pipe. So, but yeah, we've got the nut actually turning, the union turning without the pipe turning, so that is ideal. So I'm going to go ahead, take the union all the way out, whip the two 10mm out, and then we can get the new one in. So I levered this shoe slightly back one way against that bolt there, and then just levered the old wheel cylinder away. There's the old one, and hopefully it'll be roughly the same as this new one, which I believe it is. Let's have a quick look. And we've got the bottom piece there, both the same side, both bleed nipples up there, both bolts in the same sort of place, and mostly the same shape, so I think we are good to go. So I didn't put a clamp on the brake hose down there, so I'm just gonna quickly pop this on and then go from there. Sorry to skip a little bit there. I was leaking brake fluid. I didn't want to leak much more, so I quickly levered both of these open, popped the cylinder back in there. I've just started doing up the two 10mm, and I've put the union back in as well. Now that union I believe is meant to be a 12mm, but it sort of turned itself into a 13mm, and it's undoing and doing itself up fine. So I'm going to do it back up and bleed it, and hopefully we'll have no leaks and we'll all be okay. But in fairness, if I am to do this cylinder again, what I may do is either get a new pipe or make a new copper pipe and have a new union on the end. But yeah, this will be fine for now. So if I just tighten this up and these two 10mm, get that all attached, then yeah, we can look at bleeding it afterwards. So obviously, as we've had a bit of brake fluid leakage and a bit of WD-40 in the place, we're going to get this brake and clutch cleaner. Let's go back over everything. And a little bit in here as well. Clean it all off. Lovely. So before bleeding the brakes, I just wanted to top up the brake fluid reservoir, so I've just taken off the cap and topped it up with some brake fluid, which is not actually Castrol Edge 5W30, it is actually brake fluid in there, which is why it's listed as such. So yeah, we've just topped that up, and now we can open up the bleed nipple on the back of the wheel cylinder and let it bleed itself. The 8mm is open on the back now, that's a little bleed valve there, and I could hear all the air come out, and now it's dripping. That's fine. It'd be ideal if I sort of had someone to sit in and press the brake and hold it down while I tighten it back up, or if I had a pressure bleeder kit or something, but this is the way we're doing it. I've done it before, so I've been told that it works just as well, so hopefully that'll be fine. Obviously we'll test everything works afterwards. I want to get a bit of new brake fluid in the reservoir, so I'll let this drip for a little bit, then I'll clean it all up again with brake cleaner again, and yeah, we'll go from there, tighten everything back up afterwards. While we're here, you can see my fresh new Champion oil filter. The vehicle's had new engine oil as well, and I've completely refreshed the coolant, drained it all, and bled in new coolant, so that's all done as well. And yeah, it's going to have some fresh new brake fluid in it soon, hopefully. Well, while I'm waiting for things to happen, I'm going to vacuum out the car as well, because it's still full of stuff, and I might actually paint this area as well, because it's all sort of got a bit of surface rust in areas as well, up in the corner and everything. It's been a bit of welding, as you can see in the corner as well, which has been covered, but I like to make it all uniform, one colour. And down here, obviously my escapades recently means that I've got a bit of dirt down there, so let's vacuum that up now while we're waiting. Right, I've successfully vacuumed, and now I've got a little helper in here. Panther the cat has come to join us. You may remember her from the Project Sizzly videos. What's she going to do now? I've just used the last of my brush on black paint to paint the spare wheel well, including seatbelt anchorage areas, and I've done up to this rear panel as well, which was quite scratched. So I think what I'd like to do as well at some point is paint on these rear trim pieces, because they're all scratched and everything, but that's a plan for another day. Let's get back on and do up that bleed nipple now on the brakes. So I've just done up the bleed nipple. The new cylinder didn't come with a cover, so I've just used the inner cover from the union area, which covers it fine. And I've just put on the drum, put the nut back on, and topped up the brake reservoir. So now I'm going to test if the brakes work. So I've just checked the handbrake now that the drum's back on, and it's all good. So I've just put a metal rod in between the seat and the brake pedal just to leave the brakes on, and they are nice and solid. Excuse, I've got the wrong glove on because I used the other ones for painting and ruined them, and now I've only got 2 of the right hand glove, so that's handy. Yeah, so now I'm going to torque up the nut there to the manufacturer's settings that I find online, and then I'm going to pop the wheel back on, and then we can get the car off the jack stand. The other important thing as well to mention is to make sure it's not leaking, of course. So I've left the brake pressure on and it's not leaking from the union or from the bleed nipple, so we know that part is all good as well. So happy days. Right, we're off the axle stand, we're off the jack. We've torqued up the wheel to manufacturer settings as well. Put the cap back on over the nut there, and now it's time to pack away all the tools, and I'm going to leave all of this stuff inside somewhere while I leave all of this to dry. While grabbing Wartburg parts, the bloke had 2 of these wheel trims, and to be fair, I think they actually really quite suit Mr. P. But annoyingly, there's not another set of 2, so if anyone knows where another 2 are, let me know, or if anything is a similar style, because I quite like something like that on there. I think it would look quite nice. What do you guys think? All done. Mr. P is happy now that he has some brakes. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you guys have any ideas on how I could make these videos more interesting, then feel free to let me know. We appreciate your thoughts and comments. Please give us a like and subscribe as well for all of our other content. Plenty more coming soon. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.